Okay, now in the next packet, no, you're not doing more of the same thing. This packet here, I just want you to set the problem up to solve the equation. Solve the equation means you have to find what x equals. But you got to find how many answers there's going to be, okay? Now, I have an x to the second, and I've got another x that would be to the first, okay? So whatever the highest power is to, that's how many answers we have to figure out here. And whenever I have these two different powers, 2 and a 1, the equation has to be equal to 0, okay? And that's what I'm focusing on in this video. If you see equals 0, write the word set, okay? You're set to solve that. You would make your GCF and T boxes and you do F1, F2, and get the answers, but I'm not going to make you do that in this packet, okay? Just write set if it's equal to 0. Okay, in the next problem, I have 5x to the second plus 6x equals negative 2 minus 5x. So I'm solving for x. But we have x to the second power. We also have x to the first power. And there's another x to the first power, but I already know there's x to the first. Okay, so I don't need to copy that down again. So the highest power is 2, meaning there's 2 answers. Whenever we have these two things, the equation has to equal 0. So here's the equals, and we are not set here. We have to get this equal to 0. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to write blank x to the second power plus blank x plus blank, and then equals 0. Now, look for your x to the seconds. Right there is the only one you have, okay? So you can just put 5 and then cross that out. Now, x means x to first. Now, I have the 6 and then 5, but they're not on the same side. We need to get rid of the 1 over here and bring it here. So what's the opposite of minus 5x to the 1? It'd be plus 5x to the 1. And then we plus 5x to the 1 there. So 6 plus 5 is 11. You just put 11 there. Okay, now, the only non-x number you have is this negative 2, but it can't be over here. Okay, it has to move over here. So that's like a minus 2, so I plus 2. And if that's the only one we have, we just put it up here, kind of above the equals. And you can just put 2. See, now everything over on that side's gone, and that's why the 0 is now there. Okay? Got to bring everything on that side over to this side. It's best to organize using that. Okay, my next problem. I would have to solve for x, which I'm not going to do, but if I had to, that's what I'd write. I want to see that on the paper. And then we have x to the power of 2, and we have x to the power of 1. So that means I have 2 answers. And if I have these different powers of x, I need to get the equation equal to 0, which we already have, so that one's set. Okay, the next problem. I have 4x to the second power minus 10x plus 9 equals 2 plus 6x. So we're solving for x. And I have x to the second power. I have x to the first power. And another x to the first power, but I don't write it again. So there's 2 answers because the highest power tells you how many answers the equation actually has. And with these different powers, we have to have the equation equal to 0. Okay, so we're not set here. I don't see 0. So blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. So if we look for your x to the seconds, that's the only one I have, and it's on the side it's supposed to be on. Okay, so I write 4 down. Okay, now x means x to the first. Okay, you can cross that out. Well, I have 2 of them, but the problem is they're on the opposite side. We need to get the one out of here over here. So again, I have one here, I have one here. Those are arrows to indicate where the x's or x to the 1s are at. The opposite of plus 6 is minus 6, x to the 1. And then I minus 6x to the 1 from the negative 10. Now, a lot of people will put 4 there. They just do 10 minus 6. No, the 10's negative. You're going to take negative 10 minus 6. That's negative 16. Okay? Now, the last thing, non-x numbers. I have a 9 and a 2. The trouble is I got to put them together, but they're on different sides of the equation. So this 2 is a positive, so the opposite of plus 2 would be minus 2. And that would go under my 2. So I take positive 9 minus 2, which is 7. Okay, now we're set. Okay, next problem. I have x to the second, because, well, set that up, and x to the 1, because you got x second, x1. So we got to have, there's 2 answers. We're not going to find the 2 answers. If I had to, there'd be 2 of them. And I have to get the equation equal to 0 with these 2 numbers here. Okay, so 0's right there. I'm set. Okay, next problem. Solving for x. That's what solve the equation means. Find what the variable equals to. So we have x to the second, and we have x to the 1. Okay, now we got to get this thing equal to 0 then, and it's not equal to 0. Okay, it's not going to take much for me to get this one equal to 0. It's not as many things I have around. Okay, so x second, I just got the 5. For x, that means x to the first. This is the only one I have. Only time I see x the first here, and it's on the side it's supposed to be on, so negative 17. Now the only non-x number is negative 14, but that's not on the side. Everything has to move over here, okay? Here's the equals. If you have anything, if anything's on this side, it's got to be over here, okay? So a negative is like a minus. What's the opposite of minus? Plus 14. And that's the only one I have, so I just put that right above the equals, and I put 14 right there. Okay? Now it's set. You're setting the equation. Okay, this next one, solving for x, and we have x to the second power, x to the first power, and another x to the first power. Okay. All right, the highest power is a 2, meaning there will be 2 answers to find. Equation's got to equal 0. Do you see a 0 there? Nope. So circle the equals and go blank x squared plus blank x plus blank equals 0. Now, look for your x to the second powers. Okay? That's the only one I have. It has 7. 7x to the second. Look for your x to the first power. It's these 2 right here. The problem is they're on different sides, so we can't add them. Okay? You can't add them when they're on different sides. You have to undo the opposite of minus and plus. So I have minus 3. So I'm going to plus 3x to the second. And I put that here. Plus 3x to the first, sorry. Now, don't put 8. It's not 5 plus 3. It's negative 5 plus 3, and that's negative 2. Okay, then you cross out all the x to the first as soon as that's filled out. Now, non-x numbers, you have a 9, but that's not over here, okay? You need this side cleared of any number. So a 9 being positive, like it is, opposite, it's like doing the opposite of plus. It'd be minus 9. And since I have nowhere to put that, I just put it up here above the equals, and I put negative 9. Okay. The next one, we have two answers. Again, 2 because you got solving for x, x second, x to the 1, so equals 0, and we have that, so we're set. So I don't need to rearrange it. Okay, so basically if you're not set, if you don't have the 0, you got to take all of these and move them over here. Okay.